How's it going, guys? My name is Nicholas Gebert. I am the co founder of Prosperity Health Group, which is a health insurance agency that mainly focuses on selling Medicare products like Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement. In this video, I just want to show people the agency side of things and how profitable it can be to run a Medicare agency and how to structure the different models that you have for your agents. Now, before getting into this, just to give you guys a little bit of a background, I don't have much experience in the industry itself, which I think is a testament as to how um, how lucrative the opportunity is. So for me, I got started in 2022 at a call center. I would say like August 2022, right before the annual enrollment period began. I got started working at a call center. I worked there for about a year. Then I went independent and then for a year as well. And in late 2024, right before the annual enrollment period, is when I started my agency with my business partner. And that a oh my god, excuse me, since that AEP in 2024 until now, which is April 2026, the agency itself has generated over seven figures in gross revenue. And we also scaled to 35 plus agents. And we've had quite a huge success at the agency level. And also, our individual agents have had quite a lot of success as well. So, I do just want to show people how you don't need to have a ton of experience in this industry to get to the point where I'm at right now, as long as you have the right partners and you have the right support and structures put in place. And with our connections that we have with the senior resource group, who got bought out by AmeriLife for a quarter billion, as well as Connect One Health, IFG, all these other different resources and connections that we have, we do have access to a lot of really successful people in the industry that have helped guide us along the way. So I just want to be able to relay that information to people who are either just getting started or already have an agency, and maybe there's a couple of bottlenecks that they're running into. Just want to show you guys how we operate and what we've seen work for us. So the first thing we want to look at is going to be at the compensation. So by this point, if you're running an agency or looking to start an agency, you should be familiar with what the street level comp is. If not, then you probably got a little bit of ways to go. So the street level comp with Medicare, it's $347 prorated. Of course, the monthly renewal is $28.90. This is a street level comp. Now, I'm going over street level comp because this is just the easiest way to do it. When it comes to managerial overrides, agency overrides, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be different for everybody for the most part because it is based off of production. Like if I start an agency today and I have no affiliation with anybody, it's just me, Nicholas Gebert. I start an agency by myself. I'm not just going to get these top level contracts. You do have to work your way up through production. Me and my business partner, Julian, we were able to kind of skip the line a little bit due to our affiliation that we have with the senior resource group. So that's how we were able to kind of skip the line and get top level comp. And you see this happen throughout the industry. So I think it's a good way to get started because I don't need to wait, 3 to 4 to 5 years to get these top level contracts. I just got started with it immediately due to my connections. So you take a look at the street level comp, and depending on your managerial override, maybe you have a 100, 150, $200 spread over that, right? So we take a look at something like the annual enrollment period. And let's just say you have a team of around, let me actually do this, AEP earning projections. Let's just say in this example, you have the street level comp and your managerial overrides is a plus 100 over that, giving you a spread or a total compensation of $400, Jesus Christ, $447. That is total comp on a January 1st effective. Again, depending on your situation, it may be higher, maybe lower, it may be 100, really depends. Each carrier is probably a bit different as well. But again, just for purposes sake, to make this easy, let's just say this is the full spread that you receive as the agency before you pay out your agents. Now, let's say you have a team of, let's just say 20 people, 20 agents. And during the annual enrollment period, you guys do around 3,500 policies. And oh my God. Now let's actually say from that 70% goes into effect. 3,500 times 0.7. It's going to leave you with 2,450. Now you take that times $447, which is your spread or your total compensation at the agency level. And you are looking at a gross revenue of $1 million. Simple. Now, from here, this is where you kind of got to decide on how you want your structures to look like. Because if you have mainly just a broker model, like a brokerage model, people that are just direct to the carrier and getting paid out street level, remember, $347, that is the street level commission. So if you have a bunch of agents that are at the street level, instead of the total amount tallying up to 447 and you keeping a lot of that spread, you're only keeping 100 because you have a bunch of street agents, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. You do need an arm of people that are broker, and you need an arm of people that are LOA, because both are still profitable. Like, you do still get a spread off the street agents. But obviously the LOA is what you want to lean more towards, because you can dictate how much you want to pay out the LOA agents, and you should be owning the renewals on all LOAs, which we'll get into the renewals in a little bit. But when looking at the upfront commission, just depends on what your agency structure looks like. If it's mainly brokers, then obviously you're just keeping whatever the spread is for the admin. If you have LOAs, you can determine how much out of the $347 you want to pay them. So it really just depends on how you want to go about that. You can do a flat fee. You can do something to where they get paid up front and then something on the back end based off of retention. Really just depends on you. If you guys want to give your LOAs renewals, you can. If you want to keep the renewals, you can. Again, just depends on how you guys want to play that. For us, we keep the full renewals on all LOAs, and the reason why we do that is because we cover everything. So we provide them with leads, we do the marketing, we give them a dialer, they get the different softwares like the CRMs, the SharePoints, we do training, all that different stuff. We cover licensing, everything. The agents have zero out-of-pocket expenses. And so in return, we as the agency, we maintain the full book of business, because we're the ones that are, pretty much putting our necks out there for the agents. We're fronting all the costs. We're pretty much doing all the risk. So in return, we own the book of business. And there isn't like some agents kind of feel some sort of way about being LOA. There really is no, it just depends on you as the individual. What support do you need and what you're looking to get out of the industry? We have people that prefer to be LOA because they don't want to deal with being a street agent. And then vice versa. We have people that want to be street. They want to own their book of business. They want to grow this career. Some people may look at this as something they want to do for a year or two and then bounce. And that's completely okay. That's why I said you need to have an LOA arm and you need to have a broker arm. One, if you're starting someone off and they're brand new, put them as LOA. If they're coming into this, they don't know anything about Medicare, they don't know anything about sales, you're training them from ground zero, yeah, they need to be LOA. But you want to have the broker model there as kind of like a career path for them, to give them something to look forward to. Because if they're LOA for 2 to 3 years and there's no end of sight, they're going to get burnt out and they're going to leave. So instead of them leaving, you can just have them transition to the broker model, and now you still keep that agent, you maintain, or you lengthen the LTV of that agent, and they still continue to write business for you, and you still get a spread off of them now that they transition to street. So again, having a broker arm, it's not, it's not the end of the world. It's not a bad thing. You still do get a good spread off of it. You just need to make sure that you have a healthy LOA arm because that's going to be the main thing that drives revenue in your business. So this is what the gross revenue can look like. Now, in this example, $447, this all goes straight to the agency. And then from here, let's just say like this is what we would get paid out if we just had LOAs, right? If we just had LOAs, $447, that's the total amount that gets paid to the agency. Then from there, we dictate how much of this, how much of the $1 million that we want to distribute to our agents based off of whatever comp structure that we've came up with. Also, on top of that, you got to factor in leads. So, this money that comes in, it's going to start to dwindle down quite a bit, depending on how much your leads were, how much money you spent, and how much you're paying out your agents. But this is just the upfront fee from, simply just one AEP with, to be honest, not a lot of production. I mean, 3,500 sales it's a lot of submissions, but once you're around like the $5,000, $10,000 mark or 10,000 submission mark during an AEP, that's when you really start to see the numbers skyrocket. So let's just say you're doing a flat fee during the annual enrollment period. You pay out your agents $100. $100 equals the LOA or LOA comp. You do $100 per policy. That's what the LOA agent receives. And we can just do the same example, 3,500 submissions times 70% effectuation equals 2,450 paid policies times our spread of $447, which equals 1,095,000. Boom. Now that subtracted by 2,450 policies times 100. That equals, I can't believe I'm doing this on a calculator, $245,000. So agent pay. If it's just like a full LOA shop, again, this is just an example what you can do, but let's just say you just pay your agents out a flat fee of $100. Maybe you throw something on the back end, maybe there's bonuses involved, but a flat fee, $100, $245,000 is the agent pay. You take that from your gross revenue that you made during AEP based off the spread, and you are looking at around 850,000 takeaway, but does not factor in leads. And really, that's how this is also somewhere that can handicap some agencies. Maybe they don't have the money to drop, 200, 250, 300, $400,000 on leads in the fourth quarter of the year. Because remember, when it comes to Medicare, the carriers don't pay out until the policies go into effect. So you can pretty much be going the whole fourth quarter without getting paid from the carriers, while you still have to go ahead and pay your agents, while you still have to go ahead and pay for marketing. So this is what can handicap some agencies' annual enrollment period. I can see that being an issue for quite a few people. For us, it was not an issue, thankfully, to our partners that we have, and we were able to have money coming in. This is where also too you want to make sure that throughout the rest of the year you're sustaining your business by cross-selling other products. That way you're not so reliant on Medicare alone, so you have money coming in. So that's something to be aware of. So this is just what I wanted to show for the upfront commission during the annual enrollment period, because that's the most lucrative time of the year. This is what it can look like for you guys. Again, just depending on how your model is structured. The main thing I want to go over is the renewal aspect of it. So again, street level commission, $28.90 for the renewal. If you have a spread of the $100 in this example, our total comp is worth 447. You can expect, your monthly renewal, again, depending on the carrier, can be like anywhere from 35, 36, $40. It'll look like that. And that's why it's very, very important that you have a strong LOA arm that you own the book of business for. Because once that book of business begins to compound, if you're getting $36 per policy, $40 per policy on average, imagine when you're year 2, year 3 into your business and you have a agency book of around 5,000 clients renewing, 10,000 clients renewing. I'm going based off the number from the street. From the street, Jesus Christ, the street renewal. So 5,000 clients at a street renewal is $144,000 monthly at the street level. Remember, you're an agency. You have a spread over this. So you're not getting $28.90. If you own the full renewal, you're probably getting something closer to $35, $36, $37, $38 per renewal on average. So let's actually just do the math here. 5,000 times 36 is $180,000 each and every single month. Do that times 12, you're looking at a little over $2 million annually just on the renewals. And we can just keep going up and up and up. The sweet spot, I would say, to be at is around like 10,000 clients renewing on your agency book of business. Once you have that, like, you're in a really good spot. I mean, even when you're at 5,000 clients renewing, you're at a really good spot. But yeah, I don't think there really is much to say other than that. Just make sure that you guys have a structure for the LOAs, you have a structure for the brokers, you have both options available. That way people don't feel stagnated and that there's some light at the end of the tunnel. And then even for your brokers too, you want to have something else to where, maybe they can start running their own team and they receive overrides off the people that they bring on board and they start training. You want to make sure that you're promoting people from within. You have admin roles that people can grow into, all these things, so they don't just hit a certain point and stagnate completely and then you lose that person forever. You're going to have some sort of a revolving door when it comes to the LOAs. That's just kind of the nature of it. But you want to, extend the LTV of your agents as long as possible. And I think the best way to do that is to start them off at LOA, have them transition to broker, and then from there, they can either grow into an admin role or they can grow into some sort of team lead or something to where they're starting to run their own agency underneath you and they can start getting overrides themselves. So this is a little bit of an insight as to how profitable it is to run a Medicare agency. So if you guys are currently running an agency or interested in running an agency, maybe you already have a team, but just in a different vertical, feel free to shoot me a message and yeah, let's talk.